Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your guy Realistic, and I'm doing another tutorial for SoundOracle.net. And in this video, I'm going to show you an exciting new distortion plugin that is so much more than just distortion. It's filled with a bunch of really awesome features in here. But first, before we get into that, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. That way you can stay up to date with our latest videos. And also, Oracle and I have a brand new online mixing course called The Art of Vocal Mixing. It's filled with over 150 videos of expert techniques and 14 hours of mixing tutorials, so I'll leave a link in the description below. But let's go ahead and dive into this plugin right here. It's by DJ Swivel. You know, I've used quite a few of his plugins before, and I've loved the last few that he's sent over to me, and this one is no different. At first, I was thinking, okay, you know what? I already got so many distortion plugins. What's the big deal here? But as I started to use this more and more, I started to see like, okay, this is actually much more than just a distortion plugin. There's a lot of cool features in here, and it can really be able to give you a lot more drive and a lot more edge to your tracks. Now, what's really cool is normally this plugin is $100, but right now he has an intro special of half off, so you can get it for $50. But he also gave me a personal discount code. So if you use the code REAL15, you'll be able to save another 15% on top of that $50. So that brings it down to a total of $42.50. So you're saving an additional $7.50 on top of the $50 that you were already saving. So I'll actually have a link in the description below for this plugin for you to be able to get it. And then I'll also have the discount code for you to be able to just copy and paste that right into your checkout right there. So let's dive in and see what this plugin is all about. So what I'm going to do here is I got this track and I'm going to focus on this little break drum pattern right here. I want to kind of liven that up a little bit. So let's go ahead and listen to it. So I'm going to be focusing on this little break drum pattern right here. I think it can use a little bit more edge and a little bit more drive to it, right? So let's go ahead and start playing with some of these features here and see what they're all about here. So the first thing to dive into is there's this cool little magnifying glass right here. And what this is it's an auto detector. It analyzes the input going in, then makes adjustments to the input level entering into the distortion here. So let's go ahead and try this out. All you got to do is click this, hit play, and it will analyze, and then click it one more time and it will adjust. So you want to pay attention to this input and this output knob. And you can see that it made an adjustment right there. It shot this up and it brought this down. So it brought the input up and brought the output down. And it's doing that based upon the audio that's entering in there. So it will be different between each one. Another thing that's cool too is this little auto feature, because we have our input and we have our output knobs, right? So when auto is not engaged, if I just increase the input here, it's just increasing the input, and same with the output, right? It's not doing anything else to any other parameters. But what's cool is if I engage the auto button, as I increase the input, it will bring the output down, and vice versa. As I decrease the input, it will raise the output. So it gives you a nice even balance here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. As I'm raising this up, pay attention to what the output is doing here. See how that's making the adjustments based upon what I'm doing on the input? It's making the opposite adjustment. So that's a really cool, handy little feature right there that I think is going to be really useful. So that's a cool little handy feature right there that I like a lot for making adjustments here. All right, and now let's actually start getting into some of the distortion functionality of this cool little plugin right here. So we got a drive knob in the middle right here that allows us to increase the drive of the distortion. We need that if we got a distortion plugin, right? And we also got some different types of distortion. It's just different sonics and different characteristics and different styles. We have more aggressive ones and more subtle ones and just a few different ones to choose from. So let's go ahead and increase the drive knob, and then we'll check out what some of these different styles sound like. yeah, so we got a few different little styles there, and you see that we got more aggressive and then more subtle ones right here. For these particular drums, I'm gonna go with Nuke right here. I really just want to get a nice little aggressive edge to it. And then also too, you heard kind of what I did there by increasing the drive. Let's back off and then go back into it so you can hear the changes. So you can hear right there that automatically gave that some really nice punch and drive to it, really brought up a lot of energy to the track. That's what I'm really liking about this. A little bit goes a long way and really can give you some nice punch and a lot of extra energy to your track. And then another feature that's on here that's really cool, and I think this is actually something that's unique to this plugin, is this range knob right here. So what it allows us to do is process the distortion while maintaining the dynamics of the track. So what we could do is we could put the distortion on like some reverb or something like that, and then, you know, lower the range and then still be able to distort the tail end of the reverb without having to lose some of that volume. So let's go ahead and actually check that out real quick. Let's go and check out this little reverb that I have right here. So you see I'm distorting the reverb. Now let me bring down the range a little bit here. Okay, and then let's check that out in the mix here. And then without the distortion. And then with it. So the range just kind of allows us to get some of those more subtle sounds and still be able to apply some distortion on there, which I think is really cool. And again, this is something that's unique to this plugin. It's not something you're going to see on any other distortion plugin. So also that's pretty cool is this speed knob right here. And what it's going to do is it's going to affect how the distortion dynamics adjust to level changes. So just something cool to be able to have. Also can be kind of cool for like creative effects and stuff. And speaking of creative effects, we actually have quite a few cool little ones on here. We have a downsample and a bit crush. Downsample obviously is going to reduce the sample rate, and then our bit crush is going to reduce the bit depth. So let's go ahead and check those out because you can get some really cool lo-fi sounds and some really cool gritty and grimy sounds that way. And then we'll check out the bit crush. Definitely stuff that I always appreciate on distortion plugins is when there's a bit crush and a downsample. It's always really cool to be able to have those. And then something else, and I really like this about a lot of DJ Swivel plugins, is they have mid-side processing capabilities. I love that. So it gives us the ability to be able to have a wider sound if we want. So all we got to do is just engage this MS right here. And when we move more towards the center here, it's going to process more of the mids. And if we go out more to the sides here, it's going to process the sides. So let's go ahead and check this out real quick. And by the way, if we put this rate at 0 here, it's just going to just affect it, you know, as is. So it's kind of cool that we can get that nice wide sound right there and be able to get some distortion going on the sides or the mids if we want. I always love when a plugin has mid-side capabilities. I'm big on mid-side processing, so it's definitely a plus that this is in here. And of course too, we got some compression on here, and this is what really sold this plugin for me, was this compression. It actually sounds really good. It has a fixed threshold, but it seems to be able to nail it every single time, so I really like that. All you got to do is just increase this knob and it will give you more compression if you want. And then there's these little options right here, S and H, so if we could either have a softer compression or a harder compression. So you hear right there, that definitely adds some nice punch to it, and I really like that. It just gives some overall extra weight to the actual track right there. So I'm definitely digging the compression, and I think that's a knob that I'm going to be using quite frequently when I'm using this plugin right here. And another thing too that I wanted to point out up here when we're dealing with our compression is we have the option to do pre or post distortion with our compression. So that's really cool, because what we can do is if we set it to pre, it's going to go compression and then distortion. So the distortion, the drive will be distorting the compressed signal. Or we can flip that around and we could put it on post, so the compression will come after the distortion. So we could actually distort it and then we can compress the distorted signal. So it gives you the option to change your signal flow. And you know, signal flow is really important because it can affect the sound quite a bit. So I'll show you here, it's on post. And then this is pre. And for these drums, I'm actually digging it more with the compression, compressing the distorted signal versus the distortion distorting the compressed signal. So I'm going to keep this on post. I think it sounds pretty good for these drums right here. And then something else I really like is this effects band right here. It's just a little crossband filter. So what I could do is like I could set this like down here to like 100 or around there. And then I could set this to, let's say, like, you know, about 5K real quick here. And so what's going to happen is it's just going to distort the frequencies between 100 and 5K right here. And then it's going to leave everything below 100 alone and everything above 5K alone. And of course, you could make adjustments to if you wanted it to do 200 and do more like 3K. Another thing that I really like though is if you kind of got the distance figured out and then you kind of want to play around with different little frequency ranges here, you just click on the actual like white bar right here, and then you can move this around and it will keep the same distance. So definitely a little cool little feature right there. And also we got some other things right here that will change the tone. So we can go for a darker tone or a brighter tone, just a little coloring knob. Always like when distortion plugins have that really handy. And then another thing too, we have a high pass and a low pass filter here. And same thing with our effects knob. If we set our parameters to where we want them and then move this white bar around, we can actually adjust the filtering here. But yeah, this is the new plugin right here by DJ Swivel. BDE, I'm actually really digging this. Distortion is one of my favorite things to apply on tracks, so I'm actually really picky on the distortion plugins that I use. So this is one that actually impressed me quite a bit, and I think that this is something that I'm going to be using quite a bit. And like I said, I'll have a link in the description below if you want to check it out. Just don't forget to use that code REAL15 to be able to save an additional 15%. And also, like I said before, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. That way you can stay up to date to our latest videos. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button. I know it sounds crazy, but it really does go a long way to help the channel grow. Hey, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel right here so you can catch the latest tutorials on mixing, mastering, and production. And you can check out some of our suggested videos here, here, and here. And of course, if you're looking for premium loops and samples, you can find that at SoundOracle.net. We got plenty to choose from.